All right. I know a lot of you have been wondering if I was going to touch on this subject. And, I spent a lot of time thinking about how to do this right. And I think this is going to work. So we need to talk about Pan American Games. But I felt at the time just that week was not the whole story. And so I wanted to have some time after so I could tell the story, and it could be, I don't know, hopefully more informative about the journey. So let's go back in time a little bit. So earlier this year, I started riding Karl, and we took things very slowly, tried to build up slowly. We've had wild success, more success than I ever could have expected, or anyone could expect with a new horse less than a year after you start riding the horse. We won our first 2-star. We won 2 of the 3 stars that we've done this year. We won our first 5-star. We just keep jumping clear. And that led us to be selected for the Pan American Games. That was in Santiago, Chile, a month and a half ago. And going in, I was confident. I felt good about it because of, the trajectory of how our partnership had been going and how stable the partnership was. I knew what to expect. I was learning to know what to expect. She was learning to know what to expect. Things were getting on very well. As that predictability, that consistency we had. Because of that, I prepared for Pan American Games as I had prepared for any other. We jumped small just to get used to it. We worked a little bit on our turns to make sure that I could have the right expectation going into the turns. We used the same bridles, the same flat work, the same feed, the same supplement. Like everything was the same, because if you shouldn't change everything once you get selected for the team, you should do what you did to get selected for the team. And then we get to Pan American Games. We jog. We do the warm-up class, and that felt very good. Happy. We warmed up for the first round, the speed round. And everything felt, pretty normal. She was a little bit stronger than normal, but it felt pretty normal. And then because we were all the way down there, I don't have video of the rounds, but I'll explain it nonetheless. It was 1, 2, 3, and then a tight turn to a wall. I believe it was fence 4, and I got a little bit under the wall. We had a rail, and then she got really strong, right rollback down the line, and then it was a long swooping turn to the next fence, and I had very little control. She didn't really know what I was asking, and she didn't know we were supposed to jump, and so we kind of had a drive-by. Not like a refusal, like a straight refusal, but a drive-by. And then we came around again, jumped the rest of the course. We might have had one rail. And then it was hard, it was so out of the blue, and I was so unprepared for what was happening, because I didn't, if I knew what to expect and knew how things were going to go, I would have prepared differently, and I would have been in a different space. And, you can judge me from your couch about what I should have done, but you don't know what you're going to do until you're in those types of situations. And I got frustrated. I got very frustrated. And I wasn't able to control my frustration. And after the round, I was quite rough with my hands to Karl. I was frustrated and I was taking it out. And that was wrong. I should not have done that. And I feel deep regret and deep shame for how I acted after that round. I'm trying to explain what happened, not to validate it in any way, but just to explain. Like I said, I know it was wrong, and I feel a lot of shame for how I acted. But I just mentally wasn't, it was so much out of left field, and there was so many inputs and stressors into my head that, I acted out my frustration. And that was wrong then, it's wrong now, and it will always be wrong in the future. And I would love to give you some great reason or validation, but there's none of it. I acted incorrectly. And a lot of the criticism that I got for it was correct, that I shouldn't have done it. I think a lot of it was misdiagnosed because it's hard to know what's going on from your couch. And just like you never know really what's going on in people's lives until they tell you. You can judge them from the outside, but you don't know. That's the same here. So, that was rough. And it was my first championship, and it was my first team class this year where my score didn't count. Okay, so we go back to the hotel, try and digest. Come out the next day for the team class. 2 rounds, same course. And remember, I'm using the same bridle I won all these classes for months with, same bridle. And she was so strong. I ended up having 3 rails towards the end of the first round, the team day, because she was just so strong. I wasn't kicking her, as some people think I was. One benefit of being 6'1" is your legs are very far away from the horse, unless you want them on your horse. But she was just so strong, and it wasn't her fault that she was strong. It's a misunderstanding. My preparation wasn't right. My warm-up wasn't right. I couldn't, there was a lot of variables I wasn't able to anticipate before that week. And so we had some issues. Took 3 rails. I never had that level of issues with her before. And then we have to come right back and jump the course again. And before that round, there was probably the lowest I'd ever been at a horse show, because of how much I felt like I failed her. I failed my team members, and I failed the U.S. team. It was really rough. But there was still one more round, and I couldn't change the past, so we came out for the second round, the final round for the team class, and we were able to jump clear. And I'm so proud of her. I'm so glad that we could have that final result. And that final result for us was a score that counted. So at least one of my scores counted. But yeah, that was a really bad week. So, I thought about doing this video right after, but with all that stress, all that pressure, all that result, there's so much content to learn from. And so we spent a lot of time trying to figure out, digest what happened and figure out a plan forward. So this is Monday. The past 2 weeks I've been at Thermal. We showed 4 times clear. We won the National Grand Prix the first week. We jumped double clear in the team class, team final. Won the team final. And I'm so happy with how we were able to end the year. But we made a bunch of changes. The main change is we put back on the hackamore that Julian originally used with her before I bought her. Now, you're going to say, I should have used the hackamore the whole time. From your couch, I get how you would think that. But that's what I did. When I was in Florida this year, I put the hackamore on. So I said, absolutely, you got to go in the hackamore. I had no control whatsoever. What you saw in Chile was Grand Prix dressage horse compared to the zero control I had in Florida when I tried the Hackamore. Because with the Hackamore, the horse needs to understand you, and you need to understand the horse. Things need to be very automatic. And she's a horse that you have to ride purely on reaction because everything happens too quick for you to think. So those three things combined, made it so in the beginning, the Hackamore did not work. I tried it. It didn't work. I needed a bit. But what Chile showed was that the bit was not working. So we jumped her a few times at home in the Hackamore, and I went to Thermal, and we showed in the Hackamore. And now the Hackamore works. But it works because her and I have a much more mutual understanding of each other that we didn't have in the beginning. The Hackamore did not work in the beginning. But now with the Hackamore, and you can see in the clips, I have so much better. The canter isn't running away from me. I don't have to hold the canter back from, getting run away with. I have a much more moderated canter. I have a rounder jump. She's happier. Everything is happier. I can still turn in the jump offs. I can still go fast. After Chile, it was really important that I not wallow in all the emotion and the shame that I should feel after that. Because if you wallow but don't make any changes, your emotions were useless. You have to use those emotions to drive. And so, I had to look at myself, how I acted, make changes. The Hackamore was, honestly, I think that was the biggest change was the Hackamore. We adjusted how we do our warm-up a bit as well, much calmer about our warm-up. Instead of just, jumping, I'll jump 2 fences, then I'll stand by the fence, take a deep breath, let her take a deep breath. And that was really the changes that we made. But it's really hard to go back to a bit that super didn't work. I'm so happy we did. She's amazing. She continues to be amazing. I was not anywhere near good enough that week in Chile. But from that week, I will be better. And I'm not going to do that again.